ferry system as we know it today wasn't originally made for cars. The ferry system as we know it today wasn't originally made for cars and trucks and things like that. It was actually made for rail cars. The rail system that was running from New Orleans to Beaumont and into Galveston came through Bolivar, where you would hit the end of Bolivar Peninsula and your rail car would be loaded onto a barge with tracks. And a tugboat would come and pull or push you over to Galveston. Now that style of rail system started in the late 1800s and continued until the 1930s, when personally operated vehicles took over. You may or may not know that this ferry is actually part of the highway system. It started as a franchise, a personal venture, was eventually taken over by the Highway Department, and then into the Texas Department of Transportation that operates it today. Even though the landings and ownership has slightly changed, this ferry service has continued for well over 100 years. Not only a major part of the logistics of the highway system, it's the best free boat ride you can get around. So the ferries actually have a really fun design where they never actually have to turn around after loading vehicles on one side. They just keep moving back and forth, and the captain or the mate on board walks from one side to the other. As you can tell, it is quite windy out here, but what a beautiful way to spend the day. So here we are, literally in the middle of the Galveston, Texas City, and Houston Ship Channel, the logistical gateway to the economy of Texas. Something to remember the next time you're on the ferry. Could you imagine, back in the 1800s, riding a train from Beaumont down to Port Bolivar and having your rail car loaded onto a barge, and hopping on that ferry into the rail car and chugging along across the bay to be delivered safely to Galveston? The extreme east end of Galveston at the opening of the ship channel, we have the Coast Guard base, established in Galveston in the 1870s. Just another fun fact, during a hurricane, all of the ferry boats are manned, whether they are running passengers or not. But every one of these vessels is manned, and they basically just full throttle into the dock, making sure that that ferry boat does not come off the dock and become debris in the hurricane. If you're ever on the ferry and you start coming to a complete stop, or you just completely change direction from a normal ferry route, the ferry is just getting out of the way of the normal traffic in one of the busiest ship channels in the United States. Believe it or not, I met my wife on this destroyer escort right over here. Here we go, coming into the landing, making our nice approach. It is actually very windy, so we're coming in at an angle here, but I'm sure our captain can just slide us right in without hitting a single bumper.